This is the new Foundry portal, and we can start by creating an agent here. But to make this process simpler, I've already created some agents where we can look at it step by step on how to get to the full returns agent. So let's start with this. To start with, we have some very simple system instructions for the model, and we're going to add some tools. The first tool we want is a tool to get our order details from Shopify. To do this, we'll go here, add a new tool. And as you can see, Foundry has a lot of built-in tools, but it also has this catalog where you can find remote MCP servers, local MCP servers, and also Logic Apps connectors available as MCP servers that you can customize and use in your agents. So we'll go ahead and search for Shopify. Here you go. Click that. To run these MCP servers, Foundry uses Logic Apps. So the first time you create a tool in a Foundry project, a Logic App resource is created. But after that, the same Logic Apps resource is used for other tools. So now we're in the Azure portal, and we'll start by giving this a name. The more descriptive we can make the tool and also the actions available in it, the easier it is for the agent to start using them. So we need to provide a connection to to Shopify. And to do that, you need the API key from Shopify and also the stored URL. Let's go ahead and use a connection that I've already created. And now we can add the actions that are available through this tool. So these are the actions that are available through the Shopify connector. And let's pick this one. And we can also configure the parameters that are required for this tool to function. In this case, we need the order ID. And we can specify if the order ID is going to be provided by the model dynamically or if it's going to be hard coded at this point. So you can imagine the use case where a tool is going to be used by different agents and it always has to behave the same way. So you might want to hard code some of these parameters. But in this case, we're going to let the model provide the parameters. So we'll save the changes and we'll register. This will go ahead and create the Logic App connector to create the corresponding MCP server and make it available as a tool in Foundry. The nice thing about this is you didn't have to know the full API signature of Shopify, and you can set it up in a way that the agent can dynamically figure out what parameters are needed and what the shape of the request needs to be and send that request over to this tool. So we can now go ahead and add this to any of our agents, but let's switch over to an agent that I've already created that has this tool. So now this agent has more instructions. So we're going to ask the user for the order number. We're going to use the tool that we just added to get the details of that order. And we're going to ask the user which product from the order they want to return. So now let's go ahead and add the file search tool. This is going to help us add all the policy documents from the different suppliers for our store. So we'll add all these documents. And what this is going to do is create a new vector index based on all the policies that are in these supplier provided documents. And it's going to make that index available to all the agents in this project. So you can create a new index if you want, or you can use one of the available indices. So we'll go ahead and switch to one of our agents that already has this tool added. So as you can see, now we have more instructions. Basically, the agent is going to use the PDFs to reason about the return and make a decision on whether the return is allowed or not based on that particular supplier's policy. And it's going to let the user know about its decision. So now we have two tools. Let's add another tool. This one is going to be a function that I've already created. The function is pretty simple. It basically takes in package dimensions and weight and decides if a package is overweight or it's a package that requires pickup. And then the agent can use that information to offer pickup to the user. So this is an example of a scenario where you don't have an existing MCP server and you have to create a new MCP server. It's very easy to create these MCP servers with functions. Basically, in your functions code, you add the MCP tool trigger, and that automatically makes it available as an MCP server. And you can simply use the URL of the function together with the MCP server app key. And this will allow your agent to now talk to this function through MCP. And to do that, we'll go here. We will basically provide a name for this tool, provide the URL that we just looked at, and provide the key from the Azure portal. Again, we'll go back to an agent where I already have this tool. So now we've added more instructions that basically tell the agent to, in some conditions, use this particular tool to figure out if a pickup should be offered. Now, the next tool we want to add is going to be the shipping rates tool. To do this, let's assume I want to get shipping rates, but I don't have a tool in mind. So I can just go to the catalog and search for shipping. And there are some options that are available here, and we can go ahead and pick Easy Ship. Now, you do have to create an account with each of these providers and get the API key and provide it. But the really nice thing here is all of these APIs, you don't have to really know the shape of the API. You can let the agent figure out what the shape of the API. And also, it provides you a good starting point. So if you're ever looking for a tool, you can go to the catalog and see if the thing that you're trying to accomplish is possible through any of these MCP servers that already are available in the catalog. We'll cancel out of that. We'll go back to our agent that already has this tool as well. So now we have all of these tools and we've also added some new instructions that basically say if the customer is going to pay for the return shipping, then we can provide them with the code from the shipping rate tool. And then what we want to do is call our existing business process that, let's say the organization already has a business process where once a return is approved, we can generate, the supplier needs to be notified, some databases need to be updated, and a shipping label needs to be generated and emailed out to the customer. Let's say all of this is an existing business process. So this is a logic app that implements this business process. And what we want to do is use this logic app as a tool, as an MCP tool. To do that, we go to our AI gateway and we simply import that logic app as an API. And once we've done that, we can go to MCP servers and create a new MCP server using that API. I've already created one here. This is the return execution tool. And I can go back to Foundry, and just the same way I added the function, I can add this by providing the URL to the tool, to the MCP tool, and also the key to talk to it that I can get from the AI gateway. One interesting point here is now the URL is actually the AI gateway. So all the interactions between the agent and the tool are now managed and are governed by the AI gateway. So let's switch to one of our agents here. And we now have the final return agent. So as you can see, this has a whole bunch of steps that it's executing, and it has a whole bunch of tools that the agent can use as needed for these steps. Now, one thing I want to note is this is not a best practice in terms of having one agent have so many different instructions. What we found to be a better practice is splitting this up into independent agents and using workflows to put these agents together. And now this entire workflow can be made available as one agent that can be accessed from your chat application or from another business process. But for now, we'll continue to use the return agent and then run our agent. I'm going to do this in the Foundry chat playground. Typically, you would integrate this agent into a chat application, but using the playground allows us to see all the different steps that are happening. So in the playground, we show you all the different MCP tool invocations. Now, in a real chat application, you wouldn't be showing this to the end user and asking them to approve each invocation. But here in the playground, it allows us to kind of look at all the different parameters and the responses that we're getting. So now the agent is using the Shopify tool, and it's fetched some of the details from the order. And it wants to know both the item to be returned and the reason. Let's go ahead and just first give it the item number. So at this point, the agent has found more information about the item, but it still needs information about why the item is being returned before it can do its reasoning about whether the return is eligible. So now the agent has done its reasoning using the policy document of the relevant supplier, and it has figured that it can be returned. And now it's going to use our function to check if the package is oversized. So the nice thing about agents is that they can sometimes use their global knowledge when the specific knowledge is not available. So in this case, the details about the dimensions are not available in as part of our inventory database in Shopify. So it's just using some typical values for such items. Now, this is not appropriate in some use cases, but in a lot of use cases, it is okay to assume these typical values. So we'll go ahead and use that. While that's happening, I also, well, it finished. So now it's decided that the item is oversized and, a pickup will be offered by Technova. And now it wants my email. Now, the interesting thing is, sometimes this data is already available to the agent and you just need to give it a hint. Okay, so that hint helped, and the email address was part of the order details that the agent pulled from Shopify. And we will basically tell it to go ahead. And now it's going to invoke our business process in Logic Apps that handles the creation of the shipping label and emailing it to the user. So we'll go ahead and approve that as well. On our Gmail account, we would see that we've now received that email with the return details for this particular order. And going back to Foundry, as a developer, you can see the trace of each conversation. Let's pick the last one that was completed. So you can see all the calls that were made, all the interactions with the user, and the corresponding MCP tool invocation and the response of that invocation. So that was just a simple example of how you can use the power of the LLM to do reasoning and equip your agents with tools and basically implement an end-to-end business process, an agentic business process now that leverages existing APIs, existing functions, and existing business processes, but brings them all together to provide a great experience for your end user.